Welcome to All Things Social Security. Enjoy your video. Happy Friday, guys, and a meaningful Red Friday, I hope, for all of our veterans and everyone who loves them as much as I do. This particular fraud law review segment, I actually had 14 to pick from because, as you might know, during the government shutdown, one of the things that the SSA held back on in order to keep all of the customer-facing activities going as it must was to just stop publishing all the prosecutions and arrests that were going on for fraud that involved Social Security. So now we have 14, and when they're posted here by the Office of Inspector General, it's because a person's been caught. It's not when it's generally under investigation. There's usually been an arrest or a conviction. So let's hop to it. I picked this one. It's not the most recent one, and it's not the first one that was delayed. It's dated October 20th of 2025. But I picked it because it is Red Friday, and the title of this is Man Admits Concealing Death of Disabled Veteran for Years to Steal Government Benefits. So I thought it was a little apropos. So let's get to it. This is in St. Louis. It looks like a convicted felon from Salem, Missouri, on Friday admitted, so I guess he pled guilty, neglecting his uncle, first of all, a U.S. Army veteran with quadriplegia. I'm sorry if this is hurting any hearts. Feel free to turn it off. But you know, I dig into this stuff at times. For years, and then concealing his death to fraudulently obtain $1.8 million in his uncle's disability benefits. How on earth did this happen? All right, so since the guy, the little there's a word that I would use that is apropos, and I don't find political correctness to be something I do. So he's kind of a scumbucket. But anyway, his name is Brian K. Ditch, D-I-C-H. He should perhaps be lying in a ditch. 45 years old. It sounds like he grovels in a ditch, that's for sure. Pleaded guilty to 4 felony counts of wire fraud, 1 count of aggravated identity theft, and 1 count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. Now, you know, it's so funny. If that's what he pled guilty to, how many charges did they wipe clean for him? Now, I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. We'll see if at some point, I guess he's not sentenced yet. So I hope it's not some wimpy little slap on the wrist like we see sometimes. Missouri, I don't know. What do you think? Are they sloppy over there? I don't know. There are some states that we always know are going to be a slap on the wrist, no matter how bad it is. So this ditch dude was solely responsible, apparently, according to this report, for his uncle's care beginning in an 8. Instead of properly caring for his uncle, Brian Ditch, God, I want to spank his butt. I swear to God, he's a brat, clearly. Kept him locked away and subjected him to insufficient care and verbal abuse. You have to have no humanity and no human feelings to do this. I don't think you're human. I think you are either demonized or you're just not human. And I'm not so sure at what point we start feeling compassion for this scumbucket. After fraudulently gaining access to his uncle's financial accounts, Ditch regularly wired himself money. When his uncle died 11 years later, 2019, it says, Ditch concealed his death from relatives. Really? And the relatives never decided to take a trip. That's a shame. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the Social Security Administration was kept in the dark about his death. So that Ditch, Brian Ditch, can we say it again? Brian Ditch, could continue to steal his uncle's money. Ditch hid the body after the uncle died, I guess in 2019, in a shed behind his house, telling relatives that he had moved his uncle into a nursing home and told the police that his uncle was living with another caregiver. I mean, there's not too much the police could do at that point, I suppose, unless there was a big old stink coming from the backyard. Since 2008, the VA disability compensation program had deposited approximately $1.6 million into his account. Wow. That's like over 100,000 a year. He had some good benefits. Ditch's uncle also received a total of 235,000 in benefits from the Social Security Administration. As an aside, guys, that's demonstrative of how much better and understandably VA disability compensation is compared to Social Security, retirement, or disability. And before people say that's not fair, I'll say it is fair. The disability compensation for the VA is part of the compensation that veterans have earned, that kind of coverage for writing that blank check and going into our military. So I would say it's very fair. And with regard to Social Security Administration, we get out of that what we pay in. It's an insurance program. It's a little different. One is compensation for what they sacrifice, their job, being on the job X, Y, Z days and years. And the other one is not. It is a premium we pay for the insurance coverage that if we get disabled, we get X amount back. We all, as workers, decide what we're going to get from Social Security. It's all calculated. It's numbers. You can go to their calculator and say, well, if I earn 50,000 a year for the 35 years that they're going to count, what will I get? And then if you like the number, you go ahead and you earn at least the 50,000. And one could say, well, some people can't earn that. Well, that's true. But some of us worked 80 hours a week at minimum wage to get where we wanted to be. So I will say, unless you're disabled, maybe you can do it. And I'm not talking to any of you smart people. I'm talking to others that don't see it the same way. Just my opinion. All right, so Ditch used the money for personal purchases, including exotic reptiles and firearms. As a convicted felon, Ditch is barred from possessing firearms. Absolutely. Ditch is scheduled to be sentenced on January 8th. Oh, I'm dying to know the sentence. I would imagine, this not only has abuse of a vulnerable human being in it, which burns my britches so bad I could scream right now, because I'm only reading this when I'm reading it to you. I used to read them in advance and then share them, but I'm like, nah. I would like to see the maximum. Yes, I want to see him in prison and not get out. I don't want to have him see the light of day unless it's behind this little fence like the one back here. I think that's fair and just. They definitely, I see them do a slap on the wrist when it comes to someone who steals $2 million. I don't think it's right, but I think they give a big slap on the wrist. But this would be much, much worse, because here he basically tortured a vulnerable, disabled person who was a veteran, no less. Well, little Miss Pansy Butt Ditch didn't do squat except be a felon prior to any of this happening. So, even if he wasn't a felon beforehand, I don't think he should see the light of day. Am I a little too hard on that? He's only 40, he's only 45, he's a baby. No. Don't agree. Okay. The wire fraud is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. But here I want to know, if he got one, what did they say? One count of wire fraud? Was it one count? Let me just scroll up. Oh, no, 4. Well, my goodness. He obviously did it more than 4 times over 11 years or whatever it is. No, it would be 15 years or whatever. The uncle was alive for 11 years while he was being tortured by this scum bucket. So isn't it funny how they give, why can't you just nail him for all of his wire fraud? What's he going to say? No, you have to try me. Then try him. I don't know. I just feel like 4 makes it sound, is that going to give the judge an excuse to go light? I guess we'll see. If he doesn't give the maximum, I think it's insanity. And it is illustrative of why we have such rampant crime that's not held accountable. And when it involves the mental or physical well-being, particularly the physical, of any person, much less a vulnerable person, it just, well, I'm repeating myself. Sorry, guys. So he could get up to, it's not mandatory, up to 20 years in prison, $250,000 fine, even though he stole almost 2 million, or both prison and the fine. Woohoo! The felon in possession charge is punishable by up to 15 years and the same fine. They better be consecutive and not concurrent, in my opinion. Aggravated identity theft carries a mandatory penalty of 2 years in prison. At least that's mandatory. All the rest is up to. Consecutive to any other charge. I don't know, guys. Now I want to know, and will they publish it? I bet you we could look it up, though. I bet you we can chat it or Google it or something, and it'll come out. Even if the OIG doesn't get around to publishing the sentencing, because I don't know that they do both. Sometimes I see the sentences, but I don't know that I always do, but I don't track it either. I literally just come in here and start reading. Um, all right, so that probably pains a lot of hearts. It's making me a little furious. Anyway, anyone disagree that he should get the maximum? Does anyone think, well, it costs a lot to put him in jail? Personally, I'd be fine with the death penalty. But aside from that, they probably won't do that. Does anybody think that it should not be the maximum? Curious about that. Should he see the light of day? Anyone who wants to chime in. I welcome dissenters. I'll talk to you guys later and have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. We are approaching Christmas, so I hope everyone is having a wonderful Christmas season. And if you don't practice Christmas in the real sense and practice something else or don't practice anything at all, I still wish you a Merry Christmas because you deserve it. All right. Bye, guys. Particular veterans.